Okay, so it looks like we are live on YouTube now, and Director Shibahara, I'll turn it over to you.
Excellent. So I'll call the Engaged Families and Community Pillar Committee meeting to order. And I'll do a quick roll call. Leticia.
Okay, so it looks like we are live.
Here.
Maggie. Kelly. Trevor is not present. And then myself, Rochelle Shibahara. Looks like we have everybody we're expecting. I'm not sure I know Josh, so I'm assuming you're going to tell us later who Josh is. Okay, excellent. So to start off the meeting, I just want to remind everybody that our mission is to equip every student with the knowledge and skills necessary to be resourceful and successful. And our vision is by 2030, the Estacada School District will be the premier school district in the state of Oregon. And so our values are to inspire, engage, and achieve. As far as board member update, I really don't have anything today. So I'm a senior parent, so I feel like that's where all my energy and focus is going at the moment. I'm a little, preoccupied and busy with all of that. So that's my update, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I will update on behalf of Superintendent Carpenter then. He is also very excited for graduation and just a great opportunity to celebrate and have something positive to recognize in our community. It's been a hard year, so a testament to those students that are getting across the stage. So that's very exciting. And then we will mostly be working on just sending our parents off with a good understanding of what next school year will look like as far as we know so far. So 5-day week in person is basically what we know right now, and we're really excited to continue planning off of that model. And then other than that, our biggest thing is that we have device return. I believe it's on the 17th at all of the schools, except for it is on the 11th for our seniors. So device return is just in the schools. They just show up on that last day of school with their device, and we get it all checked in so that they can be ready for next year. And those are some of the biggest updates that are happening right now. Excellent. There's a lot happening, but yeah, big ones. Well, I will go ahead and share my screen, and I will pull up the agenda. I believe I was looking over some survey data, which I will go into later. Let's see, over here, here it is. And so I will start out as well with introducing Josh. Josh was added to the communications department because what we were seeing basically out of our employee engagement and our parent engagement surveys. Again, we make decisions based off of data. And what we have been seeing is communications come out just on top time and time again in our surveys and in our data, that communication is great and we want more of it. They always want more communication. The community and staff really seem to value it. It seems to make a difference when we invest our time and efforts into communication. So we've just taken that a step further with hiring Josh. He's multimedia and videographer, so he's working on a lot of live streams and a lot of video communication for our district. And we're excited for that opportunity to engage families, especially virtually, during a time when that is so essential. So had our first live stream with the senior awards ceremony, and we're excited to prepare for board meeting and graduation.
That's exciting. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So I will just roll back for a minute on our goal for the parent engagement survey. Again, an overall score increase of 0.1 is our goal. We far surpassed that in the spring, but a reminder that that is just a pulse check, so we don't alter that goal until the fall. So that goalpost remains. We just hope that we can continue that forward momentum and maintain the 3.97 that we had in the spring, which means we'll have to have a really successful start to the school year next year and just continue the good work that is happening. But we're very excited to see families acknowledge the hard work that has gone in this year, with a score of a 3.97, which is growth of 0.19.
Can
So
you remind me of what the scale is, Maggie?
it's out of 5.
Out of 5. Okay, thank you.
Yes. So anytime you're in that 3 range, you're going to want a growth of 0.1. So that's what we aim for. So if we continued at a 3.97 in the fall, then our goal for the following year would be a 4.07. So we also have it normed across other districts, and we've found that we're on the average to high side, more on the average side for districts, but for new districts in the Studer work, we're scoring really well, especially on employee engagement, but also in parent engagement. So very excited to see that. Some high points are surrounding principals having respect, principals being available, schools having respect for students, and that's exciting to see. So that's where we stack up right now. Another win that I wanted to recognize that occurred recently in alignment with our pillar was a successful multilingual family night last Thursday, the really hot, warm day of the year. Leticia, do you want to talk a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, so last week we did our parent engagement night where we played Loteria, Mexican Bingo. The ELD program provided families with free books and provided dinner. We had a fantastic turnout. Over 30 people came, and families really felt appreciated. They were extremely grateful to the staff there. I provided them with end of the year updates, answered their questions, and overall it seemed like families really enjoyed themselves, even though it was very, very hot. And then the next day we had this amazing parent comment that I'll share with you guys. It said, "Good morning, I'm sending you this message to say thank you for yesterday's event, to all the team that was present, to teachers and all the staff. The food was very tasty. Everything was very organized, very, very nice people. The lottery game was very good. My daughter liked the lottery game very much. The books also, and that you gifted us with so much. Thanks. Very nice event. Thank you very much to all the people. Have a nice day."
That's exciting. Where'd you guys host it at?
Right in front of the high school.
Outside?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Leticia has been very receptive to feedback, and a lot of people are very conscious of COVID, and so to have that outside and still have a safe event, even with food involved, was really exciting. And thank you for sharing that feedback. It was a good event.
Yes, it was.
One thing I also wanted to share was that I noticed that there were new faces that I had never seen before. Some new families getting engaged and feeling welcome, and students showing up. Even a few middle schoolers and high school students showed up just on their own. And then a teacher shared that students said that they hadn't been able to go the night before, but they were wondering if we still had some of the books and some of the food. So the fact that they felt comfortable reaching out and knew that that event was happening was really exciting. And it was, a historically underengaged family. So it was really exciting to see some new faces that are feeling engaged and respected and welcome. So really exciting.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, I had a parent tell me that day that she hadn't been out all year and her daughters really wanted to go. So she came with them and she's glad she did. So
that's awesome. So lots of good stuff happening. Another win I wanted to share is that Parent Square Mastery is happening. I think people are finally feeling comfortable with it. I've seen a lot of secretaries and principals and even some departments like our nutrition services department starting to get more comfortable with Parent Square. For example, nutrition services sent out a notice via Parent Square that they would traditionally send out in like a paper form or via email. about pandemic EBT cards. And they had 55 applications after they sent out that Parent Square notice, which was outstanding. Like the next day and the day after, Julie said she was processing them for a while, which is good to know that families are getting those resources. So really positive. And it's just good to see that we're starting to align systems. I think the more people we can transition over to common platforms like Parent Square, the less overwhelming it will feel for families. I'm also seeing a lot more family engagement on Parent Square. And I think Leticia has also done an outstanding job of showing up to homes and helping people download the Parent Square app and learn how to navigate it, learn how to get their translated materials. So that's exciting to see, particularly because one of our big pieces of feedback is about how communication is overwhelming. So if we can demystify and streamline the process, that's in alignment with the feedback we get. So that's great. Another win, we talked last month about how we needed to do rollouts for our parent engagement data. It has been a hectic and not ideal time for just routine communication, but we have managed to do 2 super 60-second videos that rolled out results to families. And I had 3 people email me and ask to go over, 3 families asked to go over the results a little bit more, and said that they were glad that they had had the opportunity to take the survey, and that one said that they had noticed an actual like measurable difference in the positive communication from their child's school. So seeing some people actually start to engage in this process is exciting, and I'm looking forward to following up more in the fall again. So that's been great to see. Our survey results showed incredible growth. One area that we saw a lot of growth was at Clackamas River. They took a little bit of a dip in the fall. I think, you know, it's new leadership in a really uncertain time anyway. And so they did take a little bit of a dip, and they came back so strong in the spring. They had the highest survey response rate by far. They had about 250 families take it. And the average for schools was in the 100s. So really awesome, great to see. And they did class contests, and I think that was one of the different.
I was going to say, I wonder what is it that they did, because they have a secret that we need to share with all the other schools, and that's great.
Yep, that would be, I think, one of the main things, and getting the teachers involved, because parents have a relationship with teachers, and then they did a contest of the grade level that had the most participation. I think got a pizza party or something like that.
Oh, cool.
Yep,
Nice.
I think that was getting the students involved so that they could go home and tell mom and dad and parents
Yep.
to do the survey.
Yep.
So it was a great learning experience, and good to see and analyze that success there. Let's see. Some other wins, like I said, Parent Square alignment happening across the district. And then another one is S'more. Our families love S'more. We get a lot of views on them. They're usually pretty successful. And so we've seen a lot of teachers starting to ask for S'more. So one thing that we will be doing is getting a district S'more account to get everyone under the same platform. And then there's not different S'more users, and no one has to have separate accounts, because we don't want teachers to have to pay for their own accounts. And we want this all under district branding. And then we can just have one archive of all of our district newsletters that I think will be easier for families to refer back to as well. So we're excited that we're seeing that interest come from staff and teachers. Let's see, Alison Bresco was one requesting it recently. Julie Theander was another one. Human resources to connect with staff, especially with all the resources and supports our staff are needing lately. They thought it would be a great idea to have a staff resources newsletter. So that's very exciting to see. And then another win is hosting successful live stream events. I think our live streams have, with the addition of Josh, the quality has gone up, the dependability, and we're excited to have more of those events. So thanks for coming on board, and I am excited to see more from that. Does anyone have any questions on that? Feel free to jump in, share wins, ask questions. Okay, I'll switch over to barriers. Again, always survey response rates. That's why it's helpful to look into what the schools did, like Clackamas River, with those contests, engaging students, to try and get survey response rate. One thing that we are going to do is we are going to start piloting a student video, kind of like Super 60 Seconds. The name is still in workshop, but it'll be similar to also engage students. And we are also going to have granny bucks or something like that to incentivize students watching and submitting wins. And we're going to have students submit wins recognizing peers for acts of kindness, because that's one thing that has ranked very low on the student survey, is students showing respect for each other. So if you submit a win and it gets featured in the video, you could win something, and just incentivizing and having fun contests for them.
And is that at a specific building, or is it district-wide, or?
We're going to do that district-wide. We're going to see if we can make something universal enough that it will appeal to both elementary, middle, and high school, knowing that we might have to break it out into elementary and secondary. But we're going to have Superintendent Carpenter engage with some students and recognize other students for kindness, and get his name out there as well. So we're going to do a quick preview teaser video before the end of the year, celebrating our seniors a little bit and launching that, and then we'll pick it back up in the fall. So really excited about that. Another struggle that we have is the struggle to get leading data. I've talked about this before. I think one of the things that I was seeing, and I'll talk a little bit more about our 90-day rollout in a bit, but one thing that everyone kind of admitted, like, yeah, we had a hard time with this, was committing fully to rounding with families, especially in the chaos. A lot of times we're calling families because they need something specific, or we're informing them of something, or very purpose-driven communications instead of, it's hard to be proactive in this era and reach out and just see how things are going. So we really want to recommit to that this upcoming school year and start getting some of our data from asking and checking in with actual parents proactively. And I think that will be a difference maker, because it's hard to survey people to death and it's a little impersonal. So having one-on-one conversations and intentionally taking that time with our secretaries and our principals and department heads, I think will be really helpful. I know one department, that has found success with that has been transportation. They've made it a real priority, and they've heard a lot of feedback from families and have been really successful this year in piloting, food delivery and supply delivery, and they've just been a leader in department service. And I think part of that is really listening to families. So I hope that we can all put some systems in place to help make that a priority next year. Improvements in action right now, 12 out of 14 action plans were completed in that 90-day cycle, so that's exciting. One that was not completed was we had some turnover in our finance department, but I think we're really aligned with just providing great communication moving forward, and I think that will be a successful plan in the future, so I'm excited about that. Parent engagement survey, now that we have that data, the rollouts are kind of occurring at different times across the buildings, but I know most of it is occurring next week or the following week with staff. So what that looks like is a building or department leader will say, hey, we got a really great score on positive communication to families. What do you think we did? And teachers can say, well, we really made it a priority to send home postcards. And they'll say, okay, we'll keep doing that. We scored really low in updating families on academic progress of students. And then they will brainstorm with teachers on what action plans they can can do moving forward. Most of the buildings, I will say, still have the same low score, the updating on academic progress. So likely it'll be, okay, let's look at the action plan we have. Did we see growth or did we not see any growth? Even if we saw growth, let's adjust this action plan to make it more powerful. If we didn't see any growth, we might need to scrap this entirely and see what we can do differently. So that's what those rollouts are looking like. I've sat in on a couple and I'm excited to see some more moving forward. And then lastly, we had our 90-day rollout a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And basically what occurred was we were sharing where we were at in our action plans. And then some stuck if we had the data to support it, if we didn't have the data to support it. And one of the big takeaways, as I mentioned earlier, was we did see a lot of successes. Our parent survey came back with great results, but people were kind of felt like they were struggling in the dark a little bit until they had those survey results, just because it's hard to get data proactively before then. So we just discussed how we can get more data from our families, and rounding is a great one. Another example of a type of type of adjustment that occurred was Human Resources is a great example. Their action plan was to round with staff members to see if they had clear expectations on what frequent communication looks like and align that across the system. And now they've done that rounding, they've collected the data, they've helped align the system. Now they're going to build plans over the summer for how they can put that into onboarding. How can we make sure that our new employees, as they come in, because we have a lot of new employees come in at the beginning of the year, how can we make sure that they are effectively onboarded with all of these expectations that we have in place? So that's one way that they're updating their plan to continue it forward and to make it more relevant to the time that we're in right now. So that's kind of what those, that 90-day huddle looked like. And it's different for everyone, but I saw a lot of, we're on the right path. We just need to make some minor adjustments type of things. So that was good to see. Any questions on any of that? Okay, well then, 2 last big updates. Again, we have no July Pillar Committee meeting. We'll pick it up in August. And then summer strategic plan update. We have, tweaked things throughout the year in our strategic plan, and we have these beautiful printout 30-page strategic plans. One great summer project for us is we are going to be going through and making sure all the metrics are still the same, making any adjustments that just naturally occurred throughout the year. And then we'll present, it won't be a new strategic plan, it's the same strategic plan, just a little bit updated because we have been through a full year of the strategic plan. And then we'll also release an update on how we did in the first year. So that'll be occurring over the summer, and we'll have updated strategic plans ready to go by teacher in service so we can distribute to staff, and then roll them out to families and roll out our results. So that'll be an exciting summer project, and Leticia did a great job translating that entire document. So thank you for doing a 30-page translation. I know that was a hefty one. So we're really excited to finally have this in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking families as well, and distribute it to our Spanish-speaking families. They deserve to see that as well. Lastly, I wanted to see for August, we can touch base a little closer, but kind of my plan was to touch base maybe a couple of weeks before, maybe mid-July, to see if the first Monday of every month schedule is going to work again in August and moving forward for the next school year. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, that August 2nd still works for me. So
yeah, I figured it's a little far out right now, and life changes. So I will touch base maybe 2 weeks before that, just to make sure we're good. And that's the schedule that we want to keep to moving forward. And we're also going to work on making sure all of our pillar committee meetings are consistently live streamed on YouTube, and the whole community can see the work that's going on. And we're excited about that process.
That's great. That's excellent.
Well, that is pretty much a June update on what is going on in engaged families and community. Are there any other questions or anything else?
I don't have any right now. I think this was a great update and seems like a lot's going on, and yeah, I think it's great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for attending, and I will see you all in